Hello there, I am Kaden Matinpour, and this is my first movie musical review. Today, I am doing Wicked Part 2, for good. Just a reminder, this part of the video is spoiler-free. Now, I have wanted to do a musical review for a while. I am sure you guys noticed I really liked them in the past, seeing as I use them for analogies and jokes constantly.
And she treated it as if it were a throwaway joke. As if I were some silly side character here.
And now, finally, I get to review my second favorite franchise about a green woman and a happy-go-lucky guy falling in love with a lot of music and flying involved. But then the green woman dies and also doesn't die. And the guy is also about to die, but then also doesn't at the last second. Along with that, the green girl has a jerk sister and a jerk father who is like the overarching villain. Wait.
Dancing through life, swaying and sweeping, and always keeping cool.
Sorry, that's unfair. They aren't that similar. It's actually my second favorite movie musical about two friends that aren't that fond of each other until they get into a fight. One of them gets a life of amazing wonders with a new engagement to a really pretty person, even though they were invited to that life by the other person, who is also now a criminal. It all leads up to a song near the end about how much they mean to each other.
Life was really nothing but a glum one till him.
Oh, and the bad guy is a fascist played by a likable actor.
Bring me the broom of the wicked witch of the west.
That's a Hitler!
Now let's get down to the review. To be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the first movie. I felt like it was trying too hard to stretch scenes just to reach the 3-hour mark. The stunt casting didn't sit right with me, and I couldn't get past the obvious cash grab of separating a 2-hour musical into 2 movies. However, this movie finally justified all that for me. While I felt the first film was just an expedition dump to prepare for the actions, this movie was action-packed, not letting any beat go missed. Because of that, though, I will admit it felt like an incomplete story. If you're going to have people go see a movie, you need a full arc. While the intro recap helped, I personally don't have a Peacock subscription because I already have like 99 other streaming services, so I just went in with what I knew and still felt like I missed something. That said, the actors really showed off their skills. I will get way more into my spoiler review, but while I was not all a fan of what they did with Wonderful, I surprisingly really enjoyed Goldblum's charming performance as the wizard. You could tell he's just having fun while knowing when to take things seriously. He can melt people and I'd be fine with it. Wait. Along with that, Ethan Slater totally rocked Bach. I am so interested in this Munchkin Evan Hansen, who realized he completed his mission and is just looking for a way out. Don't get me wrong, what he did in the first movie was not quite justifiable, but this nerdy geek type is my kryptonite. I always seem to be rooting for these guys. I am honestly very frustrated that the movie kind of seems to forget about him halfway through, leaving us with an unsatisfying ending whether you were rooting for him or not. In fact, and I'll get more into this with my spoilers, I felt everyone in this movie was kind of a jerk. It was almost scary to watch Nessa and Bach's relationship. It was pretty much the equivalent of Gaston falling in love with that kid who got his tongue stuck on the pole in Christmas Story.
I triple dog dare ya!
Just watch, I'm going to make them my wife.
Speaking of love, I would be careful who you bring to see this because just want to let you know there is a scene that obviously implies that two people had sex, which is a bit odd for a PG movie. There was also a lot of added scenes and songs to reach the 2-hour and 45-minute mark, which were fine, I guess. One had a nice tie-in to the original movie, and the other one felt like an excuse to hear Ariana Grande sing more. She sang and acted very well if you are a fan of her style, but I felt myself kind of dozing off during the added parts, and I don't do that. I love movies and musicals, but some of the added stuff they had just felt like they had it for the sake of having it. A good example of doing this right is in Tick, Tick, Boom. In that movie, they added a song about swimming, which was actually written by Jonathan Larson, because the original album was, well, it wasn't really as popular as Wicked, and it was a natural plot point. This moment was led up by a bunch of people telling him he needed a new song, and then the power goes out, leaving him with a pool and a bunch of guitar solos. In In Wicked, Grande's song did feel somewhat natural because she felt fake and stuck, but it also was kind of, bland. I would have minded something innovative. I don't know, maybe I'm being kind of harsh on Steven Schwartz. My bad.
You feel alright for about 10 minutes. If you feel alright for 10 minutes, feel alright for 20 minutes, feel alright for 40 minutes, drop it and smile.
Though they did really succeed in having the first movie focus on Elphaba's story from being an ostracized kid to realizing she should break free from the system, while this movie focused on Glinda, surrounded by a broken system as a kid and realizing as an adult that the system needs to be fixed. Even if it was completely unnecessary to have those kid scenes, sorry, I had to say it. Batman Begins did it, the Fan 4 Stick did it because of Batman Begins, and now this movie did it.
Do we really have to show him as a child to explain that?
Yeah, well, they did it in Batman Begins.
Overall, though, while there might have been a few unnecessary pieces and a few missing pieces, this puzzle seems to have an amazing story with interesting themes, exemplary acting, and a heart full of gold, and awesome Easter eggs. From now on, there will be spoilers. Usually at this point, I do a fun game show section where I explain how Spider-Man, Batman, or even Sean Gunn is in a movie or show, but since none of them are in this movie as far as we know, I will do a more fun section called, hey, is this person that person? Nah. This is where I say a person is actually another person, but maybe it will actually make sense. I have to dig deep for this one, but I believe the Wizard of Oz is actually Amos from Chicago. Does that not make sense? Well, actually it does, and you're wrong. At the end of Chicago, spoilers for the movie or musical if you haven't seen it, Amos, who in the Broadway musical is played by Joel Grey, the same man who plays the wizard in the Broadway Wicked.
You can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there.
They called me wonderful, so I said wonderful, if you insist.
Thinks he is just a nobody. Then his wife becomes famous and announces she is having a baby, which surprises him because they took a break 9 months ago. He still accepts the child as his own until Roxy tells him it was all a lie, and he walks away, distraught that his family is a lie. I believe that after that, he decided to move to Kansas and to become a fortune teller, where he was carried away by a balloon to a wonderful land, where people would call Amos by the last two letters of his name, Os, or later it would become Oz. He yearned to be a father. He was a sentimental man. Unbeknownst to him, he was actually trying to kill his daughter until it was too late and he was banished. And that is the tragedy of Amos, the great and powerful.
I hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
Or, nah, that's kind of crazy. And that was, hey, is this person that person? Nah. For my spoiler review, I appreciate that they did a decent job at catching everyone up without just replaying the last movie. Honestly, the more I watched, the more excited I got to hopefully be able to see other musicals take up this formula. One of many reasons the Disney Into the Woods movie didn't work was because they tried to adapt such a large story into an hour-and-a-half movie. So many things got cut, but if they'd separated it into two different movies with two very different acts, with, I will admit, two very different tones, it would solidify a profitable franchise.
To be continued!
It would also work with musicals like Falsettos because their original albums came in two parts, the second one actually being called Falsetto Land, which both had awesome beginning and ends.
Come back in, the welcome mat is on the floor, let's begin. This story needs an ending.
Heck, they could go crazy and do it with Next to Normal. That would rock. Back to the actual movie. I had seen the musical in the past, but actually sitting down and watching the movie made me realize something about Fiyero. He not only accepts Glinda's proposal that she was only trying to make both of them happy, he not only abandons her on her wedding day with no remorse, and he not only ditches her for a friend that he had like 2 conversations with, one of which involved him almost trampling her with his horse, but he also tried to shoot her in the head! with fire in his eyes. He could have pointed the gun at anyone, yet he points it at Glinda, the one woman who has repeatedly been burned by him before. I almost cheered when the guards beat him up because, to quote Book of Mormon,
You're a dick!
I know some girls have a crush on Jonathan Bailey, but I don't think anyone would actually ever want to be near the actual character of Fiyero. Before the Tin Man recreates the most kid-friendly version of The Shining I've ever seen, I did notice a big difference regarding the spell put on Nessa. Usually Nessa gains the ability to walk, thinking that's enough to make Bach fall in love with her because there is no wheelchair dividing them. But in this version, she just kind of flies. I'm sure it was a choice because the actress uses a wheelchair in real life, but it's confusing in the movie context. It's as if using the Force on Nessa makes her more attractive? I don't know from experience, but have you ever had someone have a crush on you and then they were suddenly slightly above the floor? Would that make you want to get all over them? Though I do appreciate that when Elphaba defies gravity, she puts herself on a road to success. But Nessa, not wanting to be like her sister, defies gravity and puts herself on a path to her doom. Now I finally get to discuss Wonderful, which this scene was anything but. Look, Wonderful was actually one of my favorite songs in the original musical.
Oh, brother!
I know I'm crazy, but it was a fun song with an actor having fun singing it, with a simplistic feel but heavy lyrics about history. But that's what it needs to be. Simple. This version was too much, I feel. While I enjoyed Goldblum shining in his moment, adding Ariana was too distracting for what was supposed to be Goldblum's spotlight. Honestly, it's supposed to be the only moment Elphaba actually spends time by herself with her real father. Instead, they clamor over it with a bunch of crazy CGI, adding a bridge to an already pretty full song with the Defying Gravity reprise. It's a lot for what is supposed to be a simple, fun song with context. Not only that, they change a lot of the lyrics. The beginning usually says
I never asked for this, or planned it in advance.
And he was carried away.
And not just by alone.
Which is kind of cute and explains his character. Yet they switched to another monologue about people being fooled easily, which we've already established a lot already. The meshing of it all ends up with a mess.
That is one big pile.
Sorry, I am aware I am some 16-year-old guy ranting about a song Jeff Goldblum sings.
Hey, Hamlet, be more trouble.
But it's frustrating when a movie musical just needs to do something simple, but then they try to fix it with CGI and added stuff until the song becomes a shadow of the original. Take the 13 movie, for example, Ariana Grande's Broadway debut. To appeal to younger audiences, they changed all the songs to be kid-friendly when it was actually written for young adults, effectively making it a different movie. They even replaced the bittersweet ending about being true to yourself and your values with a happily ever after, the world just works with you message. Like, here's a song in the movie. Versus the song it was supposed to be. Big difference, right? I didn't say Wicked went this far, but I hope these movies start to learn that we love the originals for a reason. Don't be like the live-action Disney movies. I can't believe I haven't given enough credit to Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba yet, though. While I heard Idina Menzel wanted to be in the movie, which would have rocked, Erivo gives a fresh take with fierceness, and her vocals in No Good Deed can't go unnoticed. And again, Ariana, as much as I wasn't a big fan of her stunt casting at first, I will admit she really surprised me this time. But if I may, there was this problem I had in the musical too. Did she really change Elphaba for good? Like, if you take Glinda out, Elphaba still would have gone to the wizard and stood up to him. She probably still would have been with Fiyero and his Ryan Reynolds looking face that still sucks.
Stop right there! Deadpool?
Deadpool? What? I'm not dead.
Aha! I found a flaw in Fiyero and his biceps the size of my head. Take that, Jonathan Bailey, who I'm totally hotter than, and no one can deny that. Anyways, she would have snapped out of trying to torture Dorothy eventually. Everything Glinda did was because she felt in debt to Elphaba. She made her popular because Elphaba got Glinda to have lessons with Warble. She banished the wizard because Elphaba got her that job and died for her message. And also that song about how great Glinda is. It's the equivalent of when Aragorn said no one had to bow down to Frodo. While I know there's a lot more context and Lord of the Rings movies are perfect except for the fact that Sam and Frodo aren't married in the end, Frodo made Aragorn the literal king, and Aragorn repaid him by saying no one had to have back problems around Frodo. Again, please don't attack me in the comments. I know there's a lot more context, but I'm just making a point. So now I'm kind of stupidly asking, what is the point of Glinda other than to show off Grande and make a few people cry? I'm just saying, I know it's mean, but it's kind of true. Sorry if these takes are mean. I honestly still love this movie more than the first. It had consistent quality that I hope they continue with other movie musicals, even if I felt they had a few screws missing. I'm going to miss all of the hype for these two movies. I actually wouldn't mind if they continued splitting musicals, even if it is a cash grab.
I want that money!
The message the movie has about society is something we should think about more, and maybe someday we will figure out the end of Bach's story. I'd like to thank Wicked for all of the awesome parodies it's gained.
Unlimited. My future is unlimited.
Something incredible. I'll do something incredible.
And one day he'll say to me, Elphaba.
And one day the genie will say to me, Jafar.
And the decades of love it's given to its audience. And remember, you Fiyero! Whoops. I don't know why that was in the script. I meant, remember.
You stay classy.